Here we jump. Guys, we are both live and alive. Here with Talking XP. Johnny, how you living, man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
You're looking good. I'll give you that right now.
Thank you.
Come on.
Thank you.
Own it.
Been working on it.
Yeah, I can tell. Barbarian class getting remodeled. Let's go.
Yeah, Barbarian Wizard.
A blizzard. Oh, dude. Well, thank you for joining us, man. Like, Johnny and I have been able to chop it up off stream for a little bit, but like, give us the speed dating intro. Like, who are you? What you about? Where you coming from?
Yeah, I'm Johnny. So I run Talking XP online. I do a lot of how to play videos, as well as I run a TikTok where I'm starting a new series of like how to run monsters and tactically and do things like that. So I did a recording session for Night Hags.
I don't know them.
So the first two parts are up.
What's Night Hags?
So Night Hags are like a twisted version of a hag. So they're technically fiends rather than fae. And what they end up doing is they go onto the ethereal plane and they have this thing called nightmare. Basically what it is they haunt the dreams of a sleeping PC or creature in general. And when they're on the ethereal plane, so they're casting like dream, basically.
Yeah, one of my favorite
and they would
spells,
have to do like a wisdom save. It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But it's like a nightmare. So they take however much damage it is. I think it's like 66 psychic damage at the end of their long rest.
And they don't get the benefits of the long rest.
Don't get the benefits of the long rest, and all of that damage decreases their max HP by that much.
Oh, wow.
So they're real dangerous because they're on the ethereal plane, and you can't really do much about them doing that. So I kind of talk about how you can kind of counter that for your PCs, because obviously like that's a little cheesy. You know, if you're just going to be having a hag that nobody can see, dealing 66 damage each night and then like decreasing somebody's max HP that much, like that kind of sucks as a player. So I kind of talk about how like in the stat block they have protection from evil and good, and then magic, anti-magic, circle, and all of that stuff where you can just kind of block it basically. And as well as like how to use it in combat. If it's just one, then you're not going to be fighting up in front, and you're going to have minions and things like that, and then escape from when you're in melee combat, because they don't really do a lot of damage in melee, and they can cast like magic missile at 4th level for free at will, so that deals more damage than their claw at will, 4th level.
Damn.
So they're dealing like 20 something damage each turn with just magic missile.
Auto hit.
But they can't be in combat, like in melee combat, so you have to like really figure out how to do that. So like as an action, they can at will, again, they can go into the ethereal plane.
Cool.
So they cast etherealness and then they're gone. So use that as like a retreating and blah 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 blah, all of that good stuff. I'm starting that on my TikTok page.
And is that at
so
Talking
I just need
XP?
to edit the last one. Yeah, at Talking XP on all socials. But yeah, there's a third part that I need to edit, but you know how it is with being a creator. Editing is not the most exciting.
You know,
so I have
there
to
are so
just
many
sit down and do
things
it.
that are like labors of love, right? And I am so desperate. Garbage. Wow. We're both going to have to lose our shirts, Johnny. Just got hot in here. Love you, dude. Get in here, G. We're talking, we have Johnny on, great DM, content creator. We're talking about, I mean, many things, but the run-up of post. Yeah, man. My personal rule is like, I don't want it in my like editing hamper for too long, because like it either needs to get out or be crushed in the cradle. You know what I'm saying? But this sounds dope. Like a night hag, I mean, and we'll talk about a lot of things, but since we're just on that real quick, we got two Johnnies. We got two Johnnies on the stream, one Gravach. Let's fucking go. But dude, like with something like a night hag, great example of like super fantasy, right? Like something that's, I mean, medieval, but like it's like even further than your classic like Arthurian fantasy situation. This is kind of like dark and intense. How would you have the hag enter the fray? Like, you know what I mean? Are they someone that's on the material plane that gets wronged by the party? Do they only really appear in the dreams? Like, how does that go down?
So there's a few different things. So one, night hags actually are already in Curse of Strahd. So if you want to play Curse of Strahd, little spoiler.
I just finished it. God bless you.
It is spring, man. But yeah, there is some night hags in Curse of Strahd very early on. And I think one of the main things with hags in general is that they just want to get as many people under their control as they can. But what's specific to night hags is that they can take souls.
Wow.
So if they kill somebody with this nightmare haunting, that's what it's called, nightmare haunting. If they do that and kill somebody with like reducing their max HP to 0, they just put their soul in the soul bag and they're like, cool, I can now use that to barter with devils or, you know, barter with other creatures in general because now I have the soul in it.
Interesting. I love that as a role play dynamic where they're like, hey, I'm just a broker.
It's super cool.
Dude. I'm just a broker.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and it really fits with the hags because hags are like that. They're like, oh, you want this thing? I can give that to you, like to the T of what you're asking for. Like, you don't want to be sick? Cool. I'll turn you into stone. You're not sick
You're
anymore.
Impervious.
And then, right. Exactly. You know, so that kind of a thing, but it's, I have a soul. I can trade this now and then get more power. And I think that's why they're fiends. Because they've been like twisted with that dark evil magic of the nine hells. But
I fucking love that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I would use it in just any other sense of hags, but they are a little more powerful, so which is nice because, you know, a lot of hags are a lot lower CR, so you can't really create like a really interesting encounter for more high-level characters, but in this case, you can bring 3 night hags that are all CR5, and now you have a really good encounter.
And they have to like get to the ethereal plane, right? Or like figure out a lot of logistics.
Right.
Like,
which is why these things are such like dangerous creatures.
Yeah. I think Dungeons and Dragons is particularly good at creating like characters and characters with mechanics that are very challenging and can be like easy to hurt but not easy to hit, right? Or not easy to get to. And that almost becomes like a puzzle unto itself, is like, how do we get to, you know, how do we lay a trap for this hag? How do we get to the ethereal plane ourselves? Like that kind of aspect I think is super rowdy. Yo, what up, Root? What up, Marshmallow? Good seeing you guys. Appreciate y'all coming through, asking questions. We're with Talking XP. Very talented and charming GM. It's Talking XP across all platforms. Feel free to drop them a follow. I mean, I've got a bunch of questions for you, but I appreciate when chat tosses them out. So let's honor that. Johnny, do you have like any favorite DM tools? Do you have stuff that you only use in person and only digitally? Like, where do you mostly run? Yeah,
so I am a Roll20 ambassador. I have been since the beginning of my Curse of Strahd campaign that I've ran for the past 3 years. It ended just recently, this past February, I think.
Congrats, man.
But Roll20, thank you so much. It has been a journey, let me tell you. 103 episodes at the very end of it, and level 15 characters. So I boosted Strahd. Yeah. It was wild. But only, well, I won't give any spoilers,
did
but
you make Strahd a
it is
lich?
just,
like, how did you do it?
No, actually, no, so the whole thing with Curse of Strahd is that Strahd is being basically Strahd was created into a vampire by a dark power called Vampire, or Vampire, however you want to say with the Y, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That dark power still has control over Strahd, and this domain of dread is meant to torture him, right?
He wants out.
He wants out, but like he can never get out, and he has to live forever because he's a vampire. So what I ended up doing was I boosted his stats so that he's a higher level wizard. He's a really powerful fighter because he was a general in his father's war,
cool.
which is why he came to Barovia in the first place. So I added a lot more of like really good like fighting styles and things like that. But also I added more to like that vampire abilities. So like his bite does more damage. He gains more health. He has immunity to necrotic damage. He has Misty Step as a bonus action.
I love that.
And then like his legendary actions and just across the board does more damage, has more health, has a higher AC because he has his plate armor and stuff like that. But with making him a higher level wizard, there's a lot more stuff that he can do in terms of like traps and setting up for defending himself
Symbol
against
spells,
these.
let's fucking go.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like crazy stuff. I did there's this one thing that I did that if anybody ever runs Curse of Strahd, you can make Strahd invulnerable for 10 rounds minimum because he has the Heart of Sorrow in the tower. And what you could do is he can send damage to the Heart of Sorrow just automatically. What you could do is you could put a resilient sphere around the Heart of Sorrow, which means that it can't take damage.
Yeah.
Which means that he is just invulnerable for 10 rounds until that resilient sphere is over, which you just put in a glyph of warding and it activates whenever the Heart of Sorrow takes any damage. So it takes 1 damage and boom, it is now invulnerable to all damage going forward. So it's just wild. But I mean, okay. To be completely honest though, having 10 rounds of Strahd just standing there like, haha, you can't hurt me is obviously super fucking boring.
That's hard. It's hard to sell.
But it's got a crazy just the stuff that you can do with a high level Strahd and casting crazy spells like that.
Dude.
But yeah, that's kind of what I ended up doing. But moreover, back to the Dark Power, I had Strahd go mythic, and when he went to 0 hit points, he turned into the form of vampire. And so that was like the big bad.
Yeah.
Once they defeated that thing, that's when the campaign was over. That's when Strahd was dead and all of that. Yeah.
Look at Pain Free. Shout out to my boy Ryan. What's up, dude?
But yeah, it was 3 years
a long time.
and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into that campaign, and it ended really well.
Dude, isn't that the fucking best? I have like so much. I'm like going like honestly my wheels are spinning from so many things you just tossed out. Pain Free, welcome in here. Pain Free is a player in one of my campaigns and a rad dude. Ryan, you're the man. Nice. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for using your Prime sub. For the love of God, people, burn those Prime subs. All right?
Love it.
Sure, burn them on me, burn them on Johnny. Doesn't matter. Just don't hang on to them. All right? Do not let Papa Bezos take those ducats from us. Yes?
Take everything from him.
Yeah, take all
everything you can.
But Ryan, you're a real one, dude. Always love a good stock. Man, okay. Because I'm supposed to adjudicate this, and you've thrown out some great stuff. All of that for me is a beautiful example of like leaning into a world that you've built, that you envision, but that then gets like populated and deepened by your players, right? I've run campaigns that have stretched, like 3-4 years, almost 5, like, and those are, I mean, even like short campaigns, it doesn't really matter. Like anyone that's tried to run a one shot knows that stuff is going to come out. Stuff is going to be extracted. You know what I mean? Yo, Pancake.
Yeah.
What's up, baby boy? What's up, Brett? Get in here, baby. But my point is that everything that you're describing is like the perfect storm of DM passion. You have some ideas. You think some stuff will be compelling. You're down for it. And then you also like wait for your party to give you some options and see, where they move, where they come from. Yo, thank you for this sub, Pancake. Appreciate you, dude. Get in here. We got a hype train going. Hop on board.
Got a hype train.
Chew, motherfucking chew, baby boy. But man, like all of that bespeaks that you like clearly want to be very tailored and specific, which is so rad. And I personally
Take so many notes.
Yeah, well, dude,
so
you have
many
to.
notes.
You have to.
Yeah.
I was actually like chopping it up with Pancake before our session, and it was funny because he'd taken really good notes, and like, it to me, there's few things as rewarding as a DM than whenever somebody pulls out some reference from like 4 sessions ago, and you're like, oh man, I didn't know that you guys caught that. Okay, cool. You know, and it's like
It's great because you're paying attention, you're liking the story, you're invested, so you're like keeping track of things. I love it. That's the best.
Yes, that is truly like some of the most satisfying stuff. I love that. Man, yeah. Okay, well, we could dive into a ton of that. I want to get to Marshmallow's question, and then I'm going to bang through a couple of my own. Is there a preference you have, like, in terms of low-level, high-level, mid-level campaigns? Everyone talks about high-level being, like, impossible, but what's the sweet spot for you?
So to be completely honest, I haven't done a whole bunch of super high-level stuff. It's rare to be able to get like anywhere near that unless you're doing like a one shot, which I mean, like if you're doing a one shot and you're doing level 20, like I love doing those because you could just swing hard and just try to kill the players, because usually when you're playing, you know, like a campaign or something like that, you're trying to kill the players. You're not like actually, but you're like, you know, you're making it hard enough to where it's fun, but not hard enough to where it's impossible, you know?
Yeah.
So you're always threading that line. But I think I really like probably around like 5 to 10. Cool. 5 to 10 is like my favorite because there's a lot of really cool monsters that are around that CR, and they can still die is one of the biggest things. So like
very important.
Yes, they get access to Revivify, but like once you get past 10th level, the fear of dying is just gone. You know, like you have Revivify, you have Resurrection, you have Raise Dead, so many different spells that can just bring somebody back, and like you're rich beyond belief. So yeah, you could just go buy a bunch of diamonds and just be totally fine for the rest of the campaign. You could buy a magic item that gives you Revivify once per, you know, long rest or whatever. So yeah, I think 5 to 10 is that sweet spot that I really like running.
I feel that. I just started another, gotta at least get to level 2. Yeah, for sure. It's like you gotta get there.
Agreed.
I
like to at least do level 3 because of the subclasses. That's where I usually like to, like, if I'm going to start low level, 3 is usually where I'll land.
So you'll usually start at 3 as opposed to 1.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the campaign, I guess, and how long we're going to be going, and if the players want to start with like a really low level, because like it is also really novel to be able to show where your players where your journey. PCs came from. Their background and all of that stuff. I even sometimes I'll do like a level 0 kind of session where it's like super like they fought a goblin kind of thing, you know. But if it's gonna be something that's like an 8-part or something like that, I usually want to start at least 5. That's when extra attack comes in, 3rd level spells, stuff like that.
I love that, dude. Yeah, it's very easy to, well, it's very easy to rush through those levels. To me, there's some of the most, like, I've started one campaign at level 3, and it was totally fine. But in retrospect, I think you lose a lot of that kind of like interaction. That's exactly what I was thinking of, Pain Free. That's exactly what I was thinking. But like, for example, I'm running a Dark Sun campaign for one of my Tuesday campaigns, and it's sort of like a ported over, like we're taking a originally a Dragon of Icespire Peak that then spawned into a ton of homebrew, really long, like multi-year campaign, ended last year at level 18 with a...
Congrats, that's awesome.
It was sick. It was honestly really bittersweet because it was like a partial party kill. The cleric got Finger of Death, and there was just like a lot of, I mean, it was like really emotional. Like, you know what I mean? Like we didn't play for 6 months. Like it was like very much like, okay, this was great. This was also awful. A lot of highs, a lot of lows. This is what we love about it. And I don't know that it would have felt as sweet if we didn't begin at level 1. And thus, with this Dark Sun campaign, same party, same players, same players, different player characters. But the actual Dark Sun sourcebook is like, you should probably start at level 3. But I wanted us to start at level 1 because that, to me, like, grips me into this story so much more deeply.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It shows the roots to where all the characters came from and like how the party was created and all of that stuff. I totally agree. And I 100% see novelty in all of that. For like a long-term campaign, I agree. Starting at level 1 is fantastic, and it tells a full story between start to finish. I actually started at level 1 as well for the Curse of Strahd campaign.
Oh, hell yeah.
And then we did Death House and all of that stuff, so it was really quick to level 3. But we still started at level 1, and we had like our backstories as to how everybody came together. And then as they were like learning what magics they could gain and like what abilities they were gaining through level up, they kind of came together as a party through Death House as well. Kind of trauma bonding a little bit. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, level 1 is a great way to start a long-term campaign for sure.
I'm with all of that. Marshmallow, I like that you prefer the late-level campaigns. And I also can assure you that you will sneak into these. It won't be sneaking. You'll be invited. I think probably the sweet spot for me is like level 11. If I had to like put a number on it, it's because of, you know, they have high level spells. They're still vulnerable.
Right.
Okay, so let's back up just a little bit, Johnny. Like, clearly you have a ton of really specific attention to how you want to run a campaign. You know, you've run Strahd, you've run your own different things. Like, what brought you to the tabletop, so to speak? Like, were you a DM first? Did you play? Like, what was sort of your journey that has brought you here?
Yeah. So I never had like any experience with TTRPGs until after high school. Cool. So 2014 comes around, D&D 5e comes around, and my friend prints out all of like photocopies of the player's handbook, and like
he's like, "Yo, I pirated this
hands
shit.
them out.
I'm gonna print them out in the school library."
Yeah, we were poor college kids. Like, we were like, yeah, we want to play a game, but like, here we go. And so that is the start of our, you know, D&D experience. I was playing at that time. He had learned most of the rules. You know how being a DM is, where you're just kind of like, okay, I think I got a good grasp on it, and then just like running with whatever is thrown at you. That was what happened. We kept running with it, and he kept saying yes and we played, and it was great. And that was like my origin story, if you will, where I was like, oh my god, this is awesome.
Yeah,
this is like the Lord of the Rings movies, but like in a tabletop fashion. I'm super into it. So then I started getting into it and started learning all the rules. And I remember the first time that I decided to run something, it was like a day that we were at that same person's house. We were there. We were playing like Mario Party on the 64 and
awesome, just
hanging out. But you could only have 4 players, so I was the odd one out. And I was like, "You guys want to play D&D? I'll write something real quick." I ended up writing like this one shot about a giant bear that had been like had mystical roots. And
is this Paddington?
No, thankfully.
Is this the Paddington origin story?
No, this would not be a good Paddington story because it ended not very
darkness.
Well. Right, yeah. But it had like a sword stuck in its back, or a spear or something like that, and it had once been hunted, but then it kind of transcended into this like mythical being almost, and the party was tasked to, you know, fight this creature because it had been terrorizing the town and all of that stuff. And they learned that there were some other things happening behind it. And so they were able to actually save the bear, and it turned into like this mythical being that was like, you know, blah, blah, blah. I lost my wife a long time ago. They killed her, and yada, yada, yada. And so then they solved the issue without having to kill the bear, and it was great. Dude. And that was when I just went deep into learning how to play, running whatever I could, whenever I could, and all of that.
Man, and was it specifically like what I'm hearing is that it was that experience, but it was also the kind of turning point of the party non-violently resolving the circumstance that was like very enticing to you.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I've always loved having like ulterior things happening behind, you know.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes it is fun to just have like a bad guy that you just attack, but I really love that idea of like, yes, there's a bad guy, but are they really bad?
Yeah.
Are you just gonna run in there and attack them and kill them and then learn what happened after? Or are you gonna try and learn beforehand and try to come to a, educated decision as to what to do with this thing, this creature, this person, whatever.
Amen.
Yeah,
Amen.
I always love that.
Like I can't get too much into it because Pain Free and Pancake are in the house, but like that's kind of where we are in one of my other Tuesday games is like, to me it won't necessarily stop you in your tracks, right? To learn like why the fuck the dragon is eating all of the villagers' livestock, but it will color it, right? And I think that is life. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's just
exactly
like that's kind of the beauty of it. Okay, so you began as a player. You were kind of immediately like, okay, I'm down, right?
This is it.
You saw an opportunity to DM, you jumped on it. Do you DM more than you play, like these days?
Oh yeah. I am definitely a DM person. I don't think I'm a forever DM. I was when I was running Curse of Strahd, of course, because that was my life pretty much. That is what I had to do for those 3 years, along with editing and streaming and all of that.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm definitely more comfortable in the DM seat. I do like playing every once in a while as well. Like, playing is great. But I don't know, just something about DM and being able to facilitate that story and bring in different opinions from different players, and how to facilitate that is just one of those skills that I've really loved, learning how to use and to get better at. And I think that at this point, that's where I'm supposed to be,
Yeah. No, it's awesome, man. Like, well, Richter, thank you for coming through, you absolute stud. And for subbing for 13 straight months. Shut up. I love you. You know this. Appreciate you coming through, dude. But Johnny, like that, like knowing what you want to do, you know what I mean, is like half of life's struggle. I love playing. Like it's really, really satisfying to me. To me, they're like, it's like whiskey or beer. Like it kind of is like, what's the day? You know what I mean? Or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do find that with playing, I'm able to, and part of it is I've just played with some great DMs, but it's all like, there's always at least one or two things where I'm like, ooh, like I'm totally stealing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or I'm like, I'm taking some of that. You know what I mean? Because it's just like with music.
Yeah, I mean, art replicates art,
Exactly, dude.
It's the same thing that's been happening ever since the beginning of our, existence is this person has a cool story. Ooh, I really like this part. Let me make my own story. And then it just goes down domino effect all the way down to where we are now. I mean, like all the stories that you have, if you boil them down to specific beats and specific points, it's already been done.
Yeah, they're all Hamlet,
it's just
dude.
like this equation. Exactly. It's just like this equation where you're moving variables around to create a different result, which is just, it's great. I love it.
Yeah. No, I'm with that. That's also part of like, I think the beauty. I've had DMs come up and be like, man, I struggle to homebrew, or I struggle to like deviate from the module because I really want to honor it, and I feel like if I change it, then I'm gonna lose track of like what's happening, what's going on. And like, of course, you need to keep track of like the facts of your campaign. You know what I mean? Like who did what, who said what to whom, whatever. But can you tell us a little bit about like, because I typically, I guess, run like homebrew, but they're very, very borrowed from, like Silver Marches or like the Dark Sun campaign book, whatever it would be. You're running Curse of Strahd, or you just finished it. Like, are you more of a module guy? Like, how much do you homebrew? Do you like to homebrew? You know?
Yeah. So before I got into streaming and all that stuff, I had my own homebrew campaign that was loosely related to Rise of Tiamat. My wife had bought that adventure book for me, and so I was like, sick, I'm just gonna use this. And so most of it was homebrew, and I really love being able to create the world around the characters. That's always been my thing.
Like the player characters.
But, yeah, right, yeah. But being able to run a module and then homebrewing from that has been so much easier.
Same.
Because you have that base.
You have the maps.
Of,
you have the stat
right,
blocks.
you have the maps, NPCs,
yeah,
motives, connections, magic items and gold already set for you, and all you have to do is just the story and like minor tweaks to what's happening. So like,
yeah,
for Strahd, the map was there. I decided to expand it 4 times, I think it was, so that it's not a few hours that you get from one place to another, it's a few days, so that it adds a little bit to the story, and you can have now travel encounters that wouldn't happen otherwise.
That's wise.
Obviously, I ran into level 15, so I added in the dark powers into a mythic Strahd, you know, that sort of things. I think also, to people that are having issues with, you know, homebrewing a module, there is so much on the internet. There's so much. Yeah, people have already done it, and people have already mastered it, right? So you can take from wherever you find on the internet and just play the game, you know? Yeah. Like it doesn't need to be like this, like, I need to do it myself. I need to keep the blinders on so that I have my own original story. Because it's not going to be original. It's just not. It's going to be the exact same variables in the equation, and you're going to come out with the same thing. That's just how it works, you know?
Dude,
yeah.
I love that description, and I think that's an extremely pragmatic way to approach it. Yo, Azzy, welcome in, Prince. Hanging out with Johnny of Talking XP, super talented DM content creator. I recently finished up some UCB classes and was doing essentially like the audition for some Harold and Lloyd teams in the LA-based UCB, right? And I love improv, like it plays in, like I love comedy in general, right? It plays into DMing for sure. I think it makes it like a lot more fun to be able to like have some fun while also having some stakes. But my point is that like we all sign up for these fucking auditions, right? And then you kind of need to stay around the scene for a little bit because you might have a callback, they might repair you with another group, etc. Mm-hmm. So how that plays out is like 8 hours of, 80 people being split into a couple groups of 6, rotate. And you start seeing so much improv that all of these suggestions and sources kind of start to mesh. Yeah. And it reached a point where this guy came out and there'd been like, something about bananas or pineapples or whatever. And it was a through line and it kept coming up. And he literally came out and he was like, put down the banana. You know what I mean? And like, he just owned it so immediately by kind of establishing like, look, everybody's talked about this shit. They've referenced it. And now I'm just going to immediately blow it out and call it out, And I think it's a wise way to sort of own the fact that like, by inherently just doing it, by starting a game, by DMing it, like your Strahd will not be my Strahd. Like in that is unfortunate because your Strahd sounds great,
But that's what makes it so special when you're playing with your players and your game.
Yeah.
That experience is never going to be had anywhere else. Totally.
Ever. And I think that's what
it's unique in its own right.
For sure, dude. And that clearly, like, if people are playing for 3 years to level 15, like, they really, really enjoy it,
Right.
I love that. Okay, I have a bunch of questions for you. I do want to toss Roots out, though, because this is a great one. Have you ever made a character that was from, like, a movie, like a show, a video game, like a fictionally created character outside of D&D, and then they brought them into your campaign? Has that ever been something you've done?
So, I definitely I'm going to speak on my DMing experience because that's far more than my playing experience. I have definitely brought in certain characters that were similar to characters that are outside of the game. One of my favorite like all-time villains that I love to reference is Negan. Negan is an incredible villain. If you haven't watched The Walking Dead, just watch Negan's arc of when he first enters the story and then when he like exits and all of that. That is a through and through incredible villain. And I really like his mannerisms, his cockiness, I guess, is like really attractive when you think of like a villain. So I've definitely brought in that. Homelander, I've brought in a villain that is very similar to Homelander because Homelander is also an incredible villain. Those two are like the top villains for me.
Homelander's pretty chill. But wait, just real quick, XP, like, is that from the Hanna-Barbera cartoon?
Hanna-Barbera?
I'm not familiar with Hanna-Barbera. I just wasn't sure what the reference was for that villain, so I was just kind of...
Negan, maybe? I don't know. Negan is from The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay, my bad. I missed the...
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
It is a comic. It is a comic as well. The Walking Dead is, comic that
like a
then
graphic?
made a TV show based on that. Yeah, like a graphic novel. But yeah, Negan in that is just diabolical. Like, just an incredible villain with great motives and awesome backstory and all of that. Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, keep it coming, Pancake. I love that.
But those two villains, obviously, being a DM, bringing villains in that are, very impactful, I guess is the best word. That's when you can look into other sorts of media and bring them in, and then obviously like twist and change bits about them, like their backstory and why they're doing what they're doing and stuff like that. So I've definitely done that before.
I love that. I love those examples, right? Like Homelander is super evocative and like, honestly, just the motivation of like a very intense, powerful narcissist that like is like a really like fragile, wounded young boy. You know what I mean? Like that is like a really, I mean, it's not an uncommon thing in the world at all, but it's like one of those things where it's like it's blown out with a superhero,
Right.
So like
an extremely powerful superhero, the most powerful.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Man, I really love, I'm not familiar with Hanna-Barbera, so clearly I need to dive all the way up to my waist to really go all the way in. Richter, I agree. If you're DMing, you are playing. Amen to that. I think I got to say, like, well, before I even get to my answer, let me ask you one more about yours. Like, are you, to any degree, like, feeling like, oh, I need to disguise the fact that it's Homelander? Or does the dude fly in with an American cape? You know what I mean?
Well, what I don't typically like one-for-one copy. I just take aspects
cool.
of people. So I don't really like hide the fact that they're that person. I take pieces of that person. So like the narcissism and the ultimate power that they have and the ability to talk shit and know that they won't get hit. Like that aspect of Homelander is what makes him so good of a villain, because nobody can do anything about it. Like that is what he is. He is just the most powerful being in all of the world, and he has quote unquote earned the right to talk shit on everybody around him because of that.
Yeah.
And so like that, and then adding it with the campaign and the circumstances as to how they got that power, or what they do with that power in the world, things like that. So it's not really taking Homelander and then implanting him into the story. It's more like taking aspects and then pairing it with the world and then creating a completely new character with similarities.
No, I love that. like when people ask me about like how to do accents or how to do vocal masks or whatever, just even like separating characters in general. I mean, outside of just the basic, like run some reps and et cetera, like I really do think it helps a ton to have a real world reference. Like, is this guy David Attenborough? Is he Pee Wee Herman? You know, is he Steve Irwin? Like, whatever it is, because like you do get a voice, but then you also get like a physicality, a cadence, and it's the same thing with a villain and their characteristics. You know, like I think that we love humanizing villains, and sometimes it's treated like, oh man, how dare you? But it's very real. Like even, you know, the Musks of the world, like there's clearly like a wounding that happened somewhere along the line. Like, you know, and so it's just like big, small, powerful, fragile, like whatever. Tracing back the why of that, I think is really intense. I missed one comment that I want to just touch on real quick because it cracked me up. What did Azzy say? Oh yeah, D&D idea, the Monty Hall problem, but with mimics. It's just like a bunch of like, are you saying that the doors are mimics or behind the doors are mimics, Azzy? I love it either way. Yeah. Okay, so I want to answer that real quick. I am obsessed with the Wheel of Time. I'm a big, I mean, I love fantasy, of course, but like the Wheel of Time, like got me through, you know, middle school. The mimics are mimics. Richter, you bitch.
Let's do it.
It's a statue of a mimic. Oh wait.
Oh no.
But dude, like just like with anything where it's like really, you know, Lord of the Rings or like whatever our touchstone is for a very inspiring story. I've loved Wheel of Time forever. And I did bring in one of the main characters, Matt Cawthon, as sort of like an NPC, like a DM NPC, just because I like wanted to play Matt more or less, and it was fine. It was fun. But then I started to really weave in to our Dragon of Icespire Peak that was becoming this protracted multi-year homebrew, some of like the plot points of Wheel of Time, really just specifically like the idea of a great wizard, a great person being reincarnated. And I'll be damned if one of our players didn't start ripping through the entire series of Wheel of Time. To the degree that I was
just
like,
so that they could get the
secrets.
Girl.
I mean, it really was. And she was like, oh my God, Matt. And I was like, yeah. And then it kind of kept going, and she was like, oh my God, the Prophecy of the Dragon. I'm like, yeah, fuck. You know? But like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I've come up with enough original ideas that I have no problem owning, like, yeah, like I love Robert Jordan and I stole his shit.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, that's what makes our stories better. Stealing stuff from people is what makes stories better. Like, that's obviously, you know, don't act like it's your own, but like, that's what makes, you know, everybody's backstories and like their ties to the world, all of those things, you can just steal that from other things and it, you know, play with it, because then it'll make your own story just based off of those ideas. Because it, like I said, it's never going to be the same.
Dude, for sure. And like, that is how tropes become tropes. I think that can be a good thing and a bad thing. Like you said, every story is Hamlet, totally. And even Shakespeare, right? Like Romeo and Juliet, that was like a 12th century Italian story. Like,
right.
You know, almost verbatim. So those things like, I mean, I think a lot of it is about taking ownership of that. Also, the trope thing, like, I feel like DMs are so afraid to be like, oh my God, there's a princess in the tower. Do it.
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, like, I love it when it's clear, where I'm like, oh my God, there's a base floating in space. Is it a Death Star? Like, is that what it fucking is? You know what I mean? Like the reference
Or is
points.
it an empty ship in space that's just floating and there's no reason as to why, and you have to go investigate it and maybe get attacked by some aliens?
Alien
like,
or passengers? What are we dealing with?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Dude, for real. Okay, so let us now kind of like crack open your treasure trove of Johnny tropes. Like, you know, are there any things that you, I mean, this obviously could be so many things, but I always love to kind of just open the floor. any moments of story reveals, of long-standing plot hooks, of XYZ, like any things in your DM toolbox that you have found really work for you in your game, that you could maybe offer up to someone else. Like a good example for me is I love running intrigue, like in terms of like, oh shit, like who's who. And I think that you can overcomplicate it by having like way too many red herrings. So I think it really helps if you're going to run a mystery to be like, this is the person at the center, and then almost draw a tree out from it.
Yeah.
To be like, this person worked under him, who worked under him, who works for the bad guy. So that's my suggestion for like how to make mystery trackable. Anything you could like crack off that's really worked for you?
So in terms of like keeping track of information like that, I think there is, I was just looking at my desktop, Obsidian is a really good note-taking app that actually does that spider webbing for you. So it's like you can put somebody at the center and then connect this person to back to this person. And then when you click it, you could see how many, different networks you have, or who is connected to who and why, and things like that. So that's a really cool note-taking app that I've used from time to time. But like I said, I'm a Roll20 ambassador. So what I really like to do is create a bunch of handouts, and you can link them between each other.
Cool.
So if I were to create a character, I would have, other character, this person with their notes, and then I would add a link to that character saying, a quick note of, this person is the squire of this night, or whatever. And so then all of those quick notes, like the TLDR that I have for every character, is there, and I can click into it and get like all of the information. Something like that. I like to abbreviate notes, because when you're running it, you are not going to be reading an entire paragraph. So that's another thing that I like to do, is just make sure that it's just keywords too. Like, you will be so surprised at how much you will remember in an instant by just saying one word.
Totally.
And I think when I was first starting, I felt like I needed to write everything down and make sure that everything is ready and there, even like down to the specific things that I'm going to be saying in each scene, and like questions that might be asked and the answers to those questions. And it's just so much work, and it's impossible to know what they're gonna say. So just having like keywords is like, dude, super great.
I love that. So like, it's almost like you have a TLDR for your own prep process, right?
Right.
It streamlines it.
Yeah.
I love that. I feel like everyone is about to call me out. Like Richter's about to be like, that is not what Carpe does. I mean, I definitely over prep, but part of that is because I really do enjoy it. And it then can also like, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you're just like, I'm chilling. I'm gonna write
this entire story, and I really enjoy doing it. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I can just get into it. But I do agree, like, especially in session, when someone like drops some bomb, or like, for example, in my Dark Sun campaign, someone stole a little die from a set of die from a shopkeep. Will it ever come up? I don't know. But I want to make sure that I keep track of that, right? And it really did throw me off, where I was like, Elliot, die. And I'm like, Elliot, die? You know what I mean? And I keep going, I'm like, wait, like, is someone trying to kill Elliot? You know what I mean? This was like session 2. I was like, oh, the dice. So the point is that I will test anyone's theory that things can be simple and remembered. I'm always like, what did I write? You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, you kind of have to find a way to make it easy. That kind of segues into something I wanted to ask anyways. Whenever you're beginning a campaign, like what we're talking about is maybe between sessions 5 and 10 or something. But if we back up now, and you are, you want to run Strahd or Rhymes of Frostmaiden or whatever, what does your, like process look like for onboarding? Do you run an individual session 0? Is that more texting it out? Like, how do you like to set things up before your first session?
So when it comes to prepping a story, I like to read through at least the at the very least the motives behind the villain, like what's happening, what are they doing, and why.
Yeah.
Because that informs everything about the campaign.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to players, I typically like to obviously do a session 0 where everybody's together. I give like a basis as to what they're getting into in the very beginning, and then I give vibes of the campaign so that they know what line their characters are going to be made. And then, you know, obviously like lines and veils and making sure the safety tools are there and all of that stuff. But specifically to that, I usually will have a list of things that I want to get through, and I write them all out. But
now,
on that
quick,
list
Donnie,
is usually, like I said, vibes. Yeah.
Like a list of things to ask your
For
PC.
me to tell the players specifically.
Cool.
So like
need to know
house
kind of
rules and
stuff.
stuff like that. Right, exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
So specifically with like the story, it's the vibes. Like what kind of a game is it? So like for Curse of Strahd, it's horror, obviously gothic horror. You know, you start as a person and you become the monster at the end of it. Like that whole like transformation of a normal person becoming this run down terrible person because they have to make so many terrible decisions over the span of this.
Got it.
Right, yeah.
What's
but
left of me?
Man, I am not looking forward to having
No. It's
another
the best.
child to take care of.
It's
It is
truly
like
the best.
whew,
There's just these
terrifies me.
strange,
I'm
piercing
sure.
moments of such echoing like pressure and transcendence where you're like,
Sure.
what is life? You know what I mean? But it's beautiful.
What is this? Yeah, this little thing I have to take care of and teach them how to be a human.
Like meanwhile,
What?
I'm trying to like figure out my taxes. You know what I mean?
Figure out who you are and what you're trying to do in the world. Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm with you. But yeah, like what the vibes are is huge for telling your players like what kind of characters they should be making.
Yeah, what to expect.
Right. So like, right. I mean, I'm not going to make like some happy-go-lucky kind of character that's in the middle of a domain of dread, all about, you know, murdering each other. Like that doesn't really fit. Which I guess it kind of like you can have that like shining light in the darkness kind of thing, but you know, I like to have that vibe so that I understand what kind of how I'm going to be able to fit my puzzle piece into the overarching puzzle.
Yeah. The tone, for sure.
Yeah. So that's definitely one thing that I'll bring up. I typically like to just bring that forward in the session 0 and then speak to everybody individually through like text of like, okay, what's your character idea? And then go back and forth. So like, oh, cool, this is what you're thinking. I have something in my world where this could happen. Do you want to add that to your character? And it's like, oh yeah, cool, or no. Okay, well, do you want to make something else in the world? You know, it's that back and forth. And this takes a long time to get through. So I like to make sure that the players have a good standing in the world before we start, because that's what creates tension, but moreover, that's what creates investment in the story. You know, because like, why would I be invested in this story if I have absolutely zero pieces in it? Like, I don't have a mother in there, so why would I care? I don't have anybody important that's in danger of this big bad here, so why would I care about saving? I'll just move.
Yeah.
You know, like,
This seems dangerous. I should leave. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So
No, that's,
yeah, I think
legitimate.
that's
I mean, I like how you put it in terms of almost from the DM's like place. You're almost putting together like a mood board, like a showrunner would. Of like, what's the tone? What's the aesthetic? Right?
Mm-hmm.
What's sort of the vibe in this place? That of course informs what type of characters the players will build. With the backstory aspect, I completely agree, and I actually like in a weird or in an unexpected way. I think partly because we're all friends and know each other really well, and we've played together for years and years and years, that whenever we ended the Faerun like Dragon of Icespar Peak campaign, which was like, 4.5 years, 1 to 18, blah, blah, blah. As we then moved into Dark Sun, but set in the same sandbox or whatever, I think that there was such confidence from the players that they were like, oh, I'll figure it out, that I was surprised by how much I needed to be like, hey guys, like, even if it's just 2 sentences or whatever, like I need to kind of know what you're like, who you are and why you are. And I say that all to say that, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And I think that a good way to both support that and in ways like almost give yourself a fail-safe workaround is I really, really find it helpful whenever party members have a shared backstory to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Like either our friends came up together. They were both part of this same wizard academy. They both were insulted by the same bard, like whatever, like something that really binds them, because then as the journey goes on, at minimum, they are interested in protecting each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what does a really good job at that is Candela Obscura. They have like an entire section of just questions about. I have the book.
You're talking about the system does a great job of this, not the one shot or not the series.
So right. Yeah. The system itself, they have like a specific point in character creation where it asks you, okay, so you have your character, you've picked all of your abilities, you are now in the like details part of character creation where we're talking about. And so you create like a question that your character wants to answer, but you form relationships where you have a bunch of different like categories in each of like bully. This person in the party is your bully, or they're your champion or your confidant, coworker, enemy, family, lover, mentor, and each of those have their own like 6 questions that you can answer. And each of them do it for each other. So this could be your bully, but this person thinks that you're like their protege, right? So the questions that you answer about each other are completely different, and it really goes to show how you interact with that person. It's incredible. I love that part of this book. It is one thing that is unskippable in terms of like when you're creating a character.
I like that that's built in like that. That's also for me a good example of one of the many reasons it is nice to play other systems.
Yeah.
Cthulhu, Pathfinder, whatever you want, Orbital Blues, to be able to then be like, that mechanic actually added a lot, or that one aspect of character creation, like really rooted and grounded. And then if you want to add it to your D&D campaign, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing that I really like about Pathfinder is their death save rules.
I'm not familiar with it. Yeah, what is it?
So when you go down unconscious, you hit 0 hit points, you gain a wound. So that wound adds to the DC of your death save. So instead of 10, you have to hit 11.
Okay.
You get back up, you keep that wound. You go down again, you get wound 2. Now you have to hit 12 or better.
Yeah, that's good.
You go back up, you get back down, wound 3, you get back up, you go back down to wound 4, you're dead. No save, nothing, you're dead.
Oh, wow. So if it gets to DC 14.
Yeah, so if you get 4 wounds and you go back down, or if you're at 3 wounds and you go back down, 4th, done.
Damn. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's very realistic.
But it's cool because you're not like, all right, I'm doing lay on hands, pump 1 hit point into my friend. Okay, great, they're back up. All right, now you can do your action.
Look at
like
Fred.
That's
yeah.
Hate it. I hate it when that happens because it's so meta, and it's not how the story would actually happen. You don't know that they have just 1 hit point. You don't know that their action is coming up after yours. You don't know any of this information. You are seeing your friend die.
Yeah.
They only have a limited amount of times to get back up and go back down. Like, you need to make sure that they don't go back down at all. I really like that specific death save. I haven't incorporated it, but like
You want to.
I want
it's
to.
there.
I want
it's
to
about
so
to get
bad.
there. Root. I like how Root puts that. Also, you only reduce 1 wound per long rest. I was about to ask,
Right.
how they work back. In this,
Yeah.
for anyone, Richter, Root, whomever, like, are you still doing the 3 pass, 3 failures on each death save?
Yes. Yeah. It's still 3 pass, 3 fail. Still, and then I think Nat 20 in Pathfinder is automatic up. I think. I might be wrong. I don't have a whole bunch of knowledge in Pathfinder. I've only played it once, but I did read through the rules briefly, and that was one thing that like really stuck out to me. But yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Pancake Boom, get in there. That's great to know. I have never played Pathfinder, but I do love the idea of incorporating that. Man, yeah, there's so many things where I'm like, okay, this could be a punch up, you know what I mean? Like this could make it more.
Yeah.
Man, both Pain Free and Pancake, appreciate you guys coming through. I as in crits double the number of wounds that is in a 2nd edition death save. Damn. That's cool. That's metal. Well, Johnny, like I'm loving all of like the prep stuff as well. I love how like you kind of need to gather these through lines from your party, and then you almost like place them into the campaign, like the foundation of a house. Like, do you, if we're now moving, if what we talked about is, you know, pre-session and then session 0, and then, you know, we'll run a couple sessions, can we now say that we're like session 25 of whatever, let's say Strahd?
Yeah.
Can you maybe describe for us a little bit like what your prep process would look like? You know, like you're playing on Wednesday. Does that mean Tuesday night you're touching in, or like how do you like to prep session to session?
Yeah. So one of the main things for me is I like to do a lot of batch prepping.
Cool.
So all like we hit an arc, we hit the end of an arc. All right, cool. I'm prepping the rest of this next arc. Okay, what's gonna happen in this next arc? I'm gonna make sure that you know PC's backstory NPC comes into play and furthers the plot in this way. This is the underlining plot. This is what they need to get to here to get the item to bring it back to here, or whatever it is, right? So I have that main thing already set. So I have the tracks down already. Now the train is coming in, and each week I'm basically reacting to whatever the players do. So cool. I lay down an encounter. Cool. How did they react? Great. Now the results of that are the next session. So I think of, okay, they didn't kill this NPC that I thought they were going to kill, right? Like they were pure evil, but for some reason they kept them alive.
They escaped.
What do I do with this? Right. What do I do with this NPC? How can they further the plot? That's basically what I end up doing each week is, okay, the results of the party actions are this, and this is how the next session is gonna go. Like I usually set up everything into scenes where, okay, cool, you just saved this NPC enemy from dying or whatever. Great. First scene is gonna be what happens after. Are you going to be talking to them? Are you going to be bringing them somewhere? What is the next part? Then, okay, cool, we're going somewhere. What's that next scene? How are we going to show the going there, and what are they going to see when they get there? That's a scene. Who are they going to talk to when they're there? That's going to be another scene. So I usually like to set up in scenes and just have like a predicted scene set up. So like obviously they're going to talk, they're going to go to a place, they're probably going to talk to this NPC. Let's flesh out what they know, remind myself, okay, they know these things, cool, and then put out some a TLDR list so that when they do go to this person, cool, all right, that's what they have. And when I get to that session and that point, I'm like, oh shit, what was it? Oh, die, right? Okay, they have a dice that they need to give them or whatever, right?
Totally. And Johnny, wait, just so I understand, because I'm with all of that. Like, it would be some version of like the barmaid that they met before that is actually like the boyfriend of a criminal that might flip or whatever it is. So it'd be like Bertha dating ex-criminal, wants him to change his ways, and he actually might. Or like whatever. She's like bullet point, right?
Yep. And spoke with party about X.
Yeah.
That way I can remember in that specific situation, like, oh, right. Yeah, they talked about this. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Dude, I love that. Like, that's very, like, that's the type of, because it sounds like in this batch prepping, you're doing a lot of, sort of thought, spin out, spool out for, 10 to 30 sessions or whatever. And then that week to week is kind of touching in with like, okay, how far did they progress? Did we, any unexpected turns, like left, right, up, down?
How does this change everything that I just prepped? Because the players will always change the plan that the DM puts forth. It always happens. You just need to be ready for it. It's not if, it's when.
Amen.
That's it. Yeah.
Look at that, Richter. So when your players invent the perfect conspiracy and decide to go back to Bertha, you know what was said. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Totally.
Exactly. They're like, wait a minute, is Bertha behind this whole thing? She wasn't, but she is now. Absolutely.
See, and that's
because that makes a better story. Yeah, you're just stealing their ideas and putting it back into yours. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, see,
absolutely.
Like that for me, like I struggle with, but I do want to be open to it where I'm sort of like, I like almost asking myself, like, what didn't I know about Bertha? You know what I mean? Where I'm like, oh, fuck, like, maybe she actually pushed ex-criminal to join them in the first place. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, like what would maybe be a truthful thing that hasn't already been established or contradicted?
Right.
I love it. And
and it's usually like the best ideas that you get. It's usually 10 minutes before the session.
Oh, dude.
Like, I can't tell you how many great story, like important points in the Curse of Strahd story that I came up with 10 minutes before going live.
Amen.
Like,
it's
incredible.
I meditate a lot before I run sessions, and meditation has been super helpful and like very transformative in my life. But I mean, dude, without a fault, I will be meditating and I'll be like, oh shit, maybe the Cobble Dragon met him. You know what I mean? Like, or something like, oh fuck, maybe that's why he was, you know what I mean? Like it's always some like deep piercing thing.
100%.
Man, your campaigns sound rowdy, dude. Okay, we do have a section called the Rapid Fire that is contractually obligated. We have to do it. We will be doing it here in a second. But I do have one more question because whenever you're talking about the Night Hag, it really kind of got me going down that route. Are there any, monsters, creatures? It can be a couple, it can be one, whatever. Is there a short list of monsters or creatures that you've run that you've really enjoyed running? Like, for example, like I loved running a Kraken. I was like, oh man, these things are fucking nasty.
Krakens are cool.
Like auto grapple, like all this shit. You know what I mean?
Actually grapplers. I know that's like, you just said it, but like grapplers, like ropers. That's
ropers. Yes,
ropers
dude.
are nuts.
Ropers are like the Kraken
ropers
of the cave.
Nuts.
Yeah.
Dude. Like, they just wrap around you and then just pull you in and then bite your head off. Like, those things are sick. And then they look like stalagmites. Like, that's awesome as well.
Yeah.
That one's definitely a cool one. There's a lot of stuff that I just, like, kind of homebrewed and picked pieces between a bunch of stuff and just made into, like, amalgamations, which I like body horror, so that just fits perfectly into my game. It's just picking certain things from things and then just meshing it into a creature.
Yeah.
Shoot, like, if there's, I'll say low tier, one of the creatures that I always love playing, and it's almost always a staple in my game, is goblins, because they are so deadly if you use them right. Their disengage as a bonus action is nuts.
Yeah.
Especially when they're like these small little creatures that can just whip through the battlefield. It's crazy. Yeah. And then you just have like 3 in the melee range, and then like 3 that are
in bushes,
archers.
Yeah, let's fucking go.
Incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
Agreed.
Let's see.
Also, goblins like have such a wealth of being, like, are they feral? Are they civilized? Right. You know, like there's so many ways that you could come upon goblins.
Let's see. I like dragons. They're great.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's just a typical.
No, that's totally fine. It's in the name, baby.
I really love dragons, and I think any flying creature is really something that just screws with the players, because I had players that were like level 10 and I had a ghost dragon that I was running and they couldn't deal with it. They were just doing ranged attacks because they couldn't fly. Like they had access to fly, but like not everybody does. Yeah. And this thing has a crazy fly speed because it's a huge dragon. So somebody with 30 feet movement and flying, they can't keep up. So it's just moving and tactically like running around the battlefield so that you're still dealing damage, but then you're also being out of the range for attacks. I think flying creatures are really cool. So like dragons, obviously.
And for low levels, I feel like Manticore fits that build really, really well.
Manticore is really good.
Manticore's awesome. The fact that it has ranged melee and a fly speed can be a lot, you know?
Yeah.
I love that, dude. Yeah, those are good ones. Goblins are great. Flying creatures are awesome. Like dragons are obviously dope as fuck. Like, what's your favorite type of dragon to run?
Ooh, good question. I think black dragons.
Ooh,
I think black dragons are sick.
Yeah,
I love the swamp feel, like the decay and necrotic side of it, which makes sense because Curse of Strahd is like my go-to campaign, of course. But I really love
acid. Am I making that up?
Acid.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's green dragons deal poison, and then black dragons deal acid.
Cool.
Which acid is just so cool.
It's very
just like the spittle coming from their mouth and then just burning up whatever's beneath them is just the coolest thing ever, right?
I love having like the idea of a bunch of like corroded coins and armor, right? Like a layer that's just corroded.
Right. And then like in the middle of a swamp, so like they can breathe underwater.
They
can be watching you from anywhere. It's terrifying. And then you're in a swamp where there's no like solid ground. Like in a forest, that's where green dragons usually are. You're in a forest, there's solid ground. You can walk through the trees, you can climb up the trees, you can, be away from all the other things. But in a swamp, you're walking on mud. Yeah. You're walking in the water.
Yeah.
There can be different sorts of beasts and like crocodiles and different sorts of dangerous monsters under the level of the water.
Yeah.
And then there's like fog on top of that where
visibility,
you can't see far.
Visibility is a huge issue.
It's just like it's perfect.
It's just a day in Louisiana, but it makes for great adventures. Dude, I absolutely love that. I wonder if all of that I feel like is just true. It's just accurate in terms of finding something you love that fits in with the environment that you run it in, the subsequent challenges it presents to your party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am a huge sucker for copper dragons. I think because of the ability to turn into a human. Like that aspect of change shape to me is so like magical and bespeaks such, not necessarily weirdness, but like hijinks. Why would an ancient dragon take human form? And then the subsequent reasons can be often very, very compelling. Root, I love you.
So for me, all dragons have changed shape. Not like younger ones. I do like adult and ancient. All of them have changed shape. All of them can be in like a human form. I don't usually give them like some random monster that they can turn into, but specifically all of them can turn into a human form. That's like my own homebrew rules because I love it. I love that specifically is like incredible because you can do so much with it.
That's very cool. That's also like very in keeping with like long-standing fantasy dragon lore. You know what I mean? There's lots of like dragons going back and forth. You know what I mean? But do they all have a beard? Insomnia, you're right. Yeah, a large flying
even
xenomorph.
Even the women. Yeah.
Even the women. Let's fucking go. Yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Just
Why
like
not?
the dwarves, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, dwarves have them. Why not? Why not dragons?
Dude, I love that. I also, Insomnia, thank you for referencing me as a copper dragon. That is high praise. Okay, well, guys, it's time. Buckle the fuck up because we are moving into the rapid fire section. There is no way to get this wrong, Johnny. I want you to know that, okay?
All right.
Yo, Fuzka! Fuzka, do you know Talking XP? Talking XP, do you know Fuzka or Insomnia?
Let's see.
Or Lord Richter?
I'll need to pull up their
There's a bunch of really good DMs in our chat right now, and almost all of them run some great streams. Not to say the people that aren't in the chat, that don't run games, aren't incredible. Root, I'm looking at you. Marshmallow, come on. But truly, they are super, super rad. So if you're looking to like expand or follow some more great TTRPG content creators, you cannot go wrong there. Same thing with Talking XP, guys. Like really, really thoughtful homebrewer and DM, very, very talented with a range of stories, and just a thoughtful dude. But you are right. We are here for the rapid fire. So Johnny, how this works is like I hit you with a sequence of pre-scripted like binary questions, like left, right. Yeah. Blue, red, and there's no wrong answer. Just let it rip, and
all right.
We're kind of interested in seeing like what your preferences are in the D&D space. So with no further ado, are you ready for the rapid fire?
Absolutely.
Okay,
let's do it.
Question 1: sexier, tabaxis or tieflings?
Tieflings, absolutely.
Wow. Okay, tieflings coming hard out of the gate. Should ancient copper dragons eventually turn green? Yes or no?
I would say no, because they definitely would take care of their scales. So I'll go with
as
no.
I saw you thinking about it, I'm like, they're gonna clean themselves. This is what's coming. Fucking love it. Do you have what? This is not necessarily binary, but what is your favorite edition of D&D?
5. Honestly, that's the only one that I've ever played.
It is like the standby, and I feel like it will take a long time to find.
I will. 2014. How about that? I can specify that. 2014 D&D 5e is my favorite so far.
I love it. I love it. I love it. The pure. You want that pure. You want that uncut.
Yeah.
Okay, got you. What is your favorite spell between the following: Healing Word or Cure Wounds?
Cure Wounds.
Cool. Fireball or Lightning Bolt?
Fireball.
Ooh, okay, cool. Hunter's Mark or Hex?
Hex.
Hex, okay. Hunter's Mark is definitely more popular, but I absolutely love that.
I love Hex. Hex is just so cool. It's just like, I don't know. Hunter's Mark is just like, I know where you are, but Hex is like, I'm gonna fucking get you.
Yeah. Fair enough. More exciting place to start your campaign, on top of a mountain or deep beneath the earth?
Ooh, I would say deep beneath the earth.
Deep beneath the earth? Okay, sick.
Yeah, because I mean, like, think about it. You could go into the mountain anytime. You could hike up there. That's fine. But going deep into the earth, nobody usually does that, right? So why?
I love that. And dude, let's just go cut to it. Ropers, baby. Ropers be down.
Ropers, exactly. Right? Absolutely.
Rope 'em up. Okay, preference: red dragon or blue dragon?
Red dragon.
Frost giant or storm giant?
Ooh. I'll go storm giant.
Storm giant is the correct answer, but it is a tough one.
Yeah.
If you could only play one for the rest of time, are you building a melee character or a spellcaster?
Spellcaster.
I love it. I feel like every human is like spellcaster. Now I've only had humans on the show, so I don't really know. But D100 or D12?
Ooh. A D100.
D100,
Yeah.
let's get it.
D100.
Cthulhu has really pulled me into a D100. I love it.
Yeah.
Like the range of percentiles, like when when Minners rolls up. I mean, excuse me, when Frandy rolls up and rolls 100, some shit's going down. You know what I mean?
Right, and like divine intervention. When you hit
yeah.
that divine intervention, it's so much more rewarding when you get like lower than your level. Oh, it's so much more
it's
rewarding.
incredible.
Teleport is great because
Oh my
you
God.
literally cannot tell what number you're going to get, if it's going to be bad or if it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
You have no idea. Yeah.
I mean, it's safe to say that Wild Magic, like any time the D100 comes out in a D&D game,
You're sweating.
some shit's going down. Yeah, 100%
you're
you're
sweating.
sweating. Exactly. Okay. Preference between class: wizard or sorcerer?
Wizard.
Cleric or warlock?
Cleric.
Nice. Okay, that's tough. Fighter or paladin?
Paladin.
Okay, yeah. Druid or ranger?
Druid.
Druid. Okay, let's go. You just pissed Booze off, but you got me on your side. A cleric, a bard, and a warlock all walk into a dungeon. Which one walks out?
I'm gonna say cleric because they have the most survivability. But then a bard. I mean, a bard can talk its way out of anything. So I don't know.
There's many options.
I'll go with cleric.
Okay,
I'll
we'll
go with cleric.
How do they look when
Yeah.
they walk out of the dungeon?
They look sad because the other friends are they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
So, or maybe they're mad. Yeah, no, I'll say they're mad and they're looking for some sort of a fix to bring their friends back. I
love
think
it.
that's
They're
what it is.
mad
And they are
they're looking
beaten
for
and battered.
solutions. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, if you had to jam yourself into one of the following player categories, which would it be? The edgelord, the min-maxer, the actor, or the rules lawyer?
Well, there's so many that actually describe me. The min-maxer, the rules lawyer, the actor, but I have to say min-maxer for sure is my biggest one.
That is a hard one to own, so respect. All right, respect and a tip of the cap. Can a player seduce a dragon in your game?
Absolutely.
Can a dragon?
I mean, they
seduce
have a
player?
human form, so
Yeah.
ooh.
It's like, yeah, we put it on the X's and veils.
Yeah, I mean, dragons can seduce, absolutely.
Bro, a dragon
I mean, if you're
can
into
seduce
that,
me, I'll tell you that right now.
yeah.
Okay, gnomes or halflings?
Halflings,
Vampires or werewolves?
vampires,
Oh, cool, dude, that was quick. Cowboys or pirates?
pirates.
Table snack, sweet or savory?
Though I have to say, cowboys do have their time in the sun for sure. I love that vibe, but pirates for sure.
For me, like being from Texas, I feel like I've seen so many types of like cowboy. that,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
There's a lot pirate cowboys. That's such a Richter move. I fucking love that. That's what flirty tail slaps are for. Honestly, I'm listening. They don't need a human form. Okay.
True that. Honestly, true that.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is very, very good. Astroplane or fireplane?
Astroplane.
Astral, let's fucking go. Fey Realm or Plane of Nine Hells?
Plane of Nine Hells.
Damn, let's go. For some reason, the Fey worries me more. Because I'm sort of like, you're gonna like
The rules don't apply.
exactly. At least like in the Hells, I'm like, all
Anywhere.
right, I don't trust anybody here.
Right, there's rules, there's order, but
Yeah.
in Fae, there's nothing.
Yeah,
It
I'm
is
like-
just
You can't eat anything. You can't trust anybody. Okay. Scarier thing to encounter in a dungeon. This is my favorite question. I'm sorry, I always have to ask it. Scarier thing to encounter in a dungeon. A small boy that's lost and somehow immaculately clean, or an old woman wearing rags who won't stop laughing.
ooh, old woman that won't stop laughing is that's a good one.
I love it. I love it. Okay, what's more annoying as a DM? Stunning strike or silvery barbs?
Silvery barbs. Because at least you have a save to stunning strike and you can just up their con, but
Right.
oh my god.
That's why I always keep a ring of counterspell close. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Oh,
he's
silvery
a
barbs
fifth
at nat
level
20?
counterspell.
No.
Okay, final question. Where is it? Since you ask it, we will pivot into it. Sexier, kobolds or goblins?
Ooh, I gotta go with the kobolds.
Wow.
Kobolds.
Wow,
Yeah.
you heard it here first, guys. It is kobolds for the win. That was absolutely beautiful. You have successfully exited the rapid fire. Well done, Johnny. Well navigated.
I love that. That was great.
Well handled. Yeah, that was fun. I literally, like, everybody on here, Foos, Insomnia, Richter, I've had, like, it is such a joy to chop it up with DMs, period. But I love the rapid fire because, like,
it's so much fun.
yeah, it's also like, yeah, it's just an insightful, everybody's different. Like, we all have preferences.
Oh, yeah, I'm
you know
sure.
what I mean? Such a treat. Foos, you're the best. I appreciate that. Yes, I know. And I want to keep changing them up. It's been fun to add new ones. I think it really keeps it fresh. It's fun for everybody. So Johnny, like, you truly are such a peach, man. Thank you for taking your time.
Thank you.
Before we get out of here, like, how can we best support you, support what you're doing? How can we stay in touch? How do we do that?
Yeah. Well, I have socials all over the place. At Talking XP is the best way to reach me.
Awesome.
I have a few projects coming up, so if you follow me on Twitch, YouTube, all of that, I'm going to be posting some updates. Daggerheart campaign is going to be coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
So I'm
Dude,
pretty stoked
pumped on
about that.
Daggerheart, hell yeah.
Daggerheart's going to be sweet. I'm really stoked about it. The 2d12 system is really, really slick. I really like it.
Oh, bro, I thought it was 2d6.
Yeah, I mean,
it's 2d12?
2d12,
Two
yeah.
chunky
So
boys?
I actually have
One
my
hand?
dice out. So we got a hope die and a fear die. This one's blue, this one's red.
Cool.
And you roll them both, and whichever one is higher, that is what tells you how the result is going to be. So if the fear is higher and you have a success, it's something you get is, you get what you want, but there's a cost to it. If you roll with a success with hope, you get what you want, and that's it. If you fear, if you fail with fear, it is the worst possible thing that you can have. You don't get what you want, and there's a cost to it.
Is this
if you
every
fail with hope,
check runs through this?
every single time your players roll, that's something happens. And every time you roll with hope, you get a hope. You get a hope point to do certain things with your character. Every time you roll with fear, the GM gets a fear token that they can use to shape the story. So, like, there's environmental actions that you can use a fear token for. That, like, if they're climbing something, you can use a fear to make somebody lose their grip if they fail. Something like that. Or in this case, I have a zombie campaign that I'm going to be basing off of Last of Us, Walking Dead, and all of that stuff. They have a fear action where they bite. They do a specific amount of damage, and if that damage goes through,
They take those as fear points?
that damage goes through on that bite, and they fail their ability check, their reaction roll to that. They are bit, and they need to start preparing their final things, because they are bit and they are not going to live very long.
Wow.
So we will see how that goes.
Dude, that is a very high stakes. That almost feels like Cthulhu, where you're, like, desperate to avoid combat. You're like, oh fuck!
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna fight the monster, we've got we need to blow his head off immediately.
Exactly. What's cool about Daggerheart 2 is that the HP is different on it. So your evasion scores your AC, but your armor can reduce damage based on how many slots you use. So you can reduce the damage to the bite, but if it goes through...
Got you. Okay, I'm very unfamiliar with
pretty
Daggerheart.
cool.
That all sounds super rowdy.
It's pretty cool.
Guys, go and follow Johnny. Support him. Send him love. Give him appreciation. He's a very thoughtful creator and DM. Dude, like, if you ever need somebody to come on and play some sort of, like, ill-begotten villain, some sort of man.
Yes.
Or honestly, some sort of guy that's only there for a short amount of time, and maybe he's drowned, or, I don't know, something terrible happens to him. I would love to come in and be that guy for you, be an asset for you. This has been so fun. I truly,
so much
like,
for
I need to
having
make
me.
sure that, because I don't know that I follow you on Twitch. That's about to change immediately. Guys, I like to end every D&D stream. Richter, you're the man. I like to end every D&D stream by rating another D&D content creator. Right now we're going to raid Chickadee. She is awesome. I don't know if you guys have met her. I had her on, like, a year and a half ago. She's also known as the Friendly Neighborhood Witch. But she is doing some like homebrew stuff. Yes, Talking XP, get in here. So if you can, like, please, roll in and just give them some love, show them some love. Johnny, before we get out of here, any last words, any final thoughts or suggestions?
Scare the shit out of your players, but don't be a douche.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what you have to find that fine line between too much and too little. That is so.
Scare the shit out of them with their consent. Yeah, that's a good way.
Exactly.
That's a good way to break it down.
Give them trauma with their consent.
When it's time, when they're ready for it. Johnny, you've been great. Guys, say what up to Chickadee for us. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves.